Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio. Your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Have you ever thought to yourself, is this all there is? Or perhaps you've said to yourself, have I missed my opportunity? What if the most important chapter of your life hasn't even been written yet? Hello, everyone, and welcome to Iconic Women. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, founder and president of USA Global TV and Radio. And today we're doing something a little different. Rather than interviewing a guest, I'd like to spend some time talking directly to you about a subject that's been increasingly important to me over the past several years. It's called reinvention. Many people believe reinvention belongs to the young, to people who are much younger. I'm 63 and I completely disagree. I believe reinvention belongs to each and every one of us who is courageous, who is curious. And we're going to be talking a little bit about the myth that it's too late. Somewhere along the way, society tells us, you know what? You probably should have figured that out by now. You're too old. You missed your opportunity. Let the younger people do it. Just stay comfortable and where you are. Because frankly, how much time do you actually have left? We hear these messages. We think these things. We get stuck in our own way. But what if it was just that? What if it's just a myth? How will we ever know if we don't actually take the opportunity? One thing that I find increasingly interesting is I meet so many different people from around the world. And when I'm speaking to someone about what it is they're working on, I will hear this in some way, shape, size, or form. I think everything's behind me now. I'm grateful for the past that I've had. And now I'm going to be a grandparent, which is terrific. I'm not a grandparent. I have no idea, but I imagine it would be wonderful. But does that mean that you're limited? Or I'm actually going to take the rest of my time and go fishing. I don't fish, but I've heard it's very relaxing. But are we limited to one thing or another? Or is it possible that we can still generate and feel productive? We can generate productivity and we can also feel productive. I know people who have spent decades in their careers they no longer enjoy because they're afraid to start over. Maybe people in their life are saying to them, are you kidding me? You've been there all these years. You finally earned a pension, benefits, et cetera, and you're going to walk away from all of that. But what if your experience isn't baggage? What if it's your greatest competitive advantage? Every challenge that you've overcome has prepared you for something else, building and building and building. I want to talk to you about my own reinvention. For many of you who know me and have watched our shows before, I worked in corporate for 28 years, selling meetings and events, employee recognition programs. I traveled the world, I had a lot of fun, but I was sick. I had ulcerative colitis and it wasn't getting any better. But yet I soldiered through as we do, right? We keep pushing through. And I never really thought to myself, oh, I could own my own business. My father owned his own business, and I saw what that was like, the highs and the lows, the amount of time that it took, the fact that you really can't ever walk away because there's something that needs to be done. And yet, time and life and circumstances really caused me to take a hard look at what I was doing. How long could I continue traveling in the capacity that I had for my job? In fact, one of the executives even said to me at one point, "Do you think you have enough energy to keep doing this job?" Now, I'm not even going to entertain any thoughts or questions about that, because that in and of itself is a statement. However, I decided to retire from my corporate career. This was in 2020. This was in February. I gave my notice, and March the 6th was my last day in 2020. And of course, who knew the pandemic was looming? Who knew my mother would get dementia? Who knew any of these things? So my plan was to be a life, career, and executive coach. And I had already gotten my certification. I already had my company, Dr. Jacalyn LLC, and I was ready to go. And so, of course, the clients that I had couldn't afford to pay me, because with the pandemic hitting and people not knowing how things were going to work out. So I started coaching for free. I also got certified as a fitness coach to teach yoga sculpt and, of course, TRX and spinning. I've always been someone who loves the gold stars. And then my mother got dementia. And so I decided to leave everything and move and take care of her. And it was a big time in my life. And I wasn't sure, this is September of 2020, I wasn't really sure what I was going to be doing. And so, as fate would have it, I already had a radio show out of New York, and it was called Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn, The Drive, live at 5. And so I thought, well, I can continue doing this, but I wasn't making any money at that. I was actually paying money. And then I saw someone was doing something on Facebook. And so I reached out to this person, and they were doing videos on Facebook. And then somebody else was doing videos on YouTube. So I reached out, and I found out that in order to do this, you have to know something about production and live streaming, etc. And so I want to just stop here and just say to you, if you are watching this and you would consider subscribing to our channels, we would love that. So it's USA Global TV and Radio and Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. So I learned how to produce. I learned how to take the radio show over the airwaves myself. I learned how to produce TV shows on social media, and things just started to evolve. And so I actually was in the process of reinventing myself, even though I didn't realize it. And because of the pandemic and because of my mother's health, I had to stay in the house pretty much all the time. And what ended up happening was I was doing 10 TV shows a day, standing for all of them, as I'm standing right now in my studio, because as I really believe, I'm standing for those who can. It's very easy to sit down. I feel like when we're sitting, and I do a lot of sitting with admin work, but we get very complacent. Our posture isn't quite what it needs to be. But I was in the process of reinventing myself. And then, as fate would have it, people from different parts of the world started seeing my shows and believing in me. And then one thing led to another, and I had people coming to me and asking how they could have their own TV show. And so there a business was built. But if you had asked me about this in 2017, 18, 19, even 2020, I never would have believed that this is what I would be doing today. So I want you to think to yourself that whatever it is that you're doing, that you've been doing, you have skill sets you probably haven't even tapped into. I think the most important question is, how happy are you right now? How happy and fulfilled are you in your life? And if you feel that you're not as happy as you'd like to be, especially as we come to the closing chapters of our lives, right? Can we live to be 100 or more? Of course. I follow a couple of people on social media who are 100 plus. It's amazing to see what they're doing. One of them, Dorothy, is playing tennis. It's incredible, and it gives you such hope. So why settle for doing what it is that you're comfortable doing. If you're not happy, if you're very happy, that's a different story. So reinventing ourselves is something that is open to all of us, but it is a mindset. And think about this. You may be waiting for someone to give you permission to change what you're doing. It's probably not going to happen. My mother used to say, God bless her, she would say, if only I had a magic wand and everything would be better. And I'd say, Mother, there is no magic wand. And she would really believe it. And she had really good intentions. But no one's coming with a magic wand, my friends. So if you are not happy, if there are things out there that you still want to do, you can do them. But no one's going to give you permission. In fact, for those people you're closest to in your life, they may object to it on every level because of fear, because of change. Not everyone is receptive to changing circumstances. And especially as we get older, I've been doing some reading lately, and I was reading something about gray divorce, that people are in their 60s and 70s and even 80s after being with people for decades, and they decide they're going to leave. And their circle is just like, what are you talking about? You've been with this person for so long. And the person says, you know what? I'm not happy. I want to see what it's like to have my independence and do what it is I want to do without having to be concerned about my spouse, my significant other. And so can you really fault someone for saying, you know what, I don't know how many years I have left, but what I do know is I'm not as happy as I would like to be. I'm not able to do some of the things I'd like to do because I don't have permission from my spouse or my family. And so that is really limiting in a lot of ways. So some of the obstacles that prevent us from moving on or finding our happiness or fulfilling our dreams, as I mentioned, fear of failure. It's real. But the truth is that when we're not opening that door or walking through to that opportunity, we are limiting ourselves, and we may be failing because our happiness might be part of the journey that takes us from where we are to where we could potentially go. But we'll never know if we don't take that journey. We may have fear of criticism. And by the way, you already know this, but for every one person who tells you what an idiot and a loser you are, there's someone else who will tell you what a genius you are, what a success you are. So it's all about whom you surround yourself with. Who is in your inner circle? And we already know this too about the 5 or 6 people you're closest to. That says a lot about the people you surround yourself with. Your environment also says a lot, dictates how you're going to feel and how you're going to react. So you have control over this. You have the ability to choose, but there is no permission. Now, you may say, well, I'd like to pray on it. Absolutely, pray on it. Ask the universe, read your tarot cards, whatever it is that you need to do. But ultimately, you will be the one who makes the decision. And making that decision is scary. It is. But guess what else? It's also exciting. It's thrilling to think that you can reinvent yourself, regardless of what your age is. One of the things that I love to do is I love to be inspired by people who are older than I am, who are on fitness journeys. And I see people in their 80s and 90s. And as I mentioned to you, this woman, Dorothy, who's 100 playing tennis, that is thrilling to me. Sure, when we're 20, 30, 40, absolutely, we're able to do things that we couldn't do. But who told us that at a certain age, we had to stop? We had to give up. It's a limiting belief. So think about that as a door that's in front of you that is preventing you from going where you want to go. There will always be criticism and there will always be compliments. But looking for external validation one way or another is not the answer, my friends. The answer is to believe in yourself. And that sounds trite, but many people don't believe in themselves. They're constantly looking for other people to tell them, great job, I'm here for you. If you ever need anything, look inside, look in the mirror and say, you know what? I'm my own best friend. If anyone's going to find a solution, it's going to be me. It's going to be you. It's nice to have support, absolutely. But at the end of the day, nobody can make decisions for you that you have to live with. You have to do that. Here's another thing people say. I'm going to wait until everything is perfect. What does that look like? What is perfect? Because life is always changing. Circumstances are always evolving. And if you're waiting, life is passing you by. I know myself, I've been very guilty of this. I have always been someone who likes to collect gold stars, certificates, degrees, awards. And I realized something about that whatever it is I achieved, I have a master's, I have a doctorate, not enough. Now I'm in the Wharton School of Business, their executive education program, and I'm really enjoying it. Instead of saying to myself, okay, well, I'll sign up for another Wharton course and then another one so I can actually be an alumni from Wharton. No, I'm actually enjoying what it is that I'm learning. And that's a big step for me. It's not just about collecting these accomplishments because it's never enough, because you need another accomplishment and another accomplishment. So wherever it is you are in your life, you already have your accomplishments, but there's more to accomplish. And one of the biggest accomplishments, I believe, is peace of mind. It is priceless to be able to sit in a quiet area with no one, without any distractions, and just be alone and be at peace. Many people thrive on chaos, on drama. They're so used to that, the constant stress, but it takes a toll. And when you are able to sit and quietly process, whether you're meditating or you're just taking some time, maybe walking through nature, you may realize that there's more you want to accomplish. And that's terrific. You don't need to share it with anyone. You don't need to get anyone's approval. But what you can do is start to make a plan. And if you're saying to yourself, okay, I want to wait until I make this amount of money, till the kids are out of the house, till this, well, guess what? Decades of your life are now gone and you cannot get them back. And the one thing that we fail to think of is our health. We are not blessed with great health for our entire lives. In fact, some people are never blessed with good health. So while you're waiting for the perfect time, you have to hope and pray that your health is going to be top notch, that you're going to feel well enough to pursue your dreams. So right now, today, wherever you are, whether it's July 15th or July 16th in the world, wherever you are, think about the fact that right now is the youngest you will ever be in this lifetime. Every minute that goes by, we're getting older. So to wait for the perfect time means, in my opinion, you're not optimizing the time you have right now. So take this time and say to yourself, I'm going to find time for me to just think and process. Wherever it is I am in my life, what do I want to accomplish to feel happy, to feel peaceful? Is it nice to have a very big bank account? Absolutely. Is it nice to have assets and investments? Absolutely. But we do know this, we can't take them with us. And we know that when we lose our health, no matter how much money we have, no matter what kinds of doctors and concierge services you can get, that doesn't mean your health will be restored. The riches are inside. It is the ability to choose. And when you choose to find peace, and you choose to be happy, and you choose to be grateful, the miracles start. It's incredible. So here I am at 63, having reinvented myself. And every day I'm looking at reinventing myself again and again. For those of you who know me, you know I'm an avid exercise person. I've been working out for at least, 50 some years. And a little over 2 weeks ago, after doing 2 workout classes a day for probably 5 months and taking off 1 day a week, I experienced some serious back spasms. And the back spasms were a warning sign. It was a sign to me that I had over pushed myself. I had done too much. But yet in my mind, I didn't want to say, you know what? I'm listening to you, body. I wanted to say, well, that's weak. That's really pathetic. You've got to push through. But yet the spasms were so violent that I couldn't breathe. I couldn't move. I was afraid I might have a heart attack. And it wasn't just once. It was 3 nights in a row. And then I decided to start sleeping in a chair. And with the chair, you're not moving. And so as it turned out, it was a good lesson for me. And the lesson was that pushing yourself to full capacity, whether you're reinventing yourself or not, is not the smartest thing, because we need to listen to our body and we need to listen to our mind. But on the other side, if your body and your mind is telling you and your spirit that you are not in a happy place, whether it's where you work, where you live, the circle you surround yourself with, in your own home, you have a choice. Will you listen? I'm listening now. So I'm not doing those exercise classes anymore. I've started swimming, but I took 2 days off in a row, which is major for me. I don't take 2 days off, but I knew if I don't do something, I'm really being detrimental to my future health. And so now I'm swimming laps and water walking, completely different than what I was doing, because I'm listening and I'm at peace and I'm not in pain. And I'm still getting the exercise that I need. I'm water walking and swimming for 80 minutes, 80, with water weights. So the point is, I've reinvented myself yet again. And this time, I didn't want to do it because I loved my routine at the gym. But I decided to listen. So I want to thank you for listening to me. And I want to ask you, what thoughts are coming up for you? Because if this is resonating with you, you want to make a change. You just don't know how. Or maybe you're afraid. Or maybe one of the scariest things that can happen is no one in your circle will support you. Not your partner, not your family, not your friends. No one will believe in what you're doing. The only one who has to believe is you. And sure, you can go ahead later on and tell them, I knew I was going to do it, but you didn't believe in me. If that's what you need to do. But don't let other people stop you. Don't let fear and criticism. Don't think to yourself, I don't have what it takes. Because when you're doing that, you're basically conforming to what everyone's saying. Everyone's saying, oh, you're not going to make it. And then you essentially go, yeah, you know what, they're right. Because you don't believe in yourself. So the bigger question is, what's preventing you from believing in yourself? That is the root cause. When you are able to determine what that is. And I know I've heard it from people, but I have a husband, I have a wife, I have a partner, I've got children. How selfish is that? Is it really selfish to be living in a frame of mind where you're counting days? Well, how many days till I go on vacation? People always think this is the answer. People will say to me, when do you go on vacation? I don't go on vacation. I do not travel unless it is for business. Why? Because I love what I'm doing. I don't need to take a vacation away from what I'm doing. But yet think about how many people do this, working all year for the vacation. And then you go on the vacation and you say to yourself, I can't wait to get back home. Because you're with the same people you're with when you were home, and you never resolved the issues. Or maybe you're alone and you go on vacation and you can't be alone with your own thoughts. You don't want to take the time to actually process and figure out, wait a minute, I have these issues. Whether I'm in the States, I'm in the UK, I'm in Africa, it doesn't matter. The issues will follow you wherever it is you go. You've got to get to the crux of them. That is what is holding you back. And when you are the master of your universe and you are in control of your thoughts and your feelings, you will realize, believe it or not, people will either fall in line and support you or they'll walk away. And I know for some people that is terrifying, to think that you won't have the circle that you are used to having. But there's so much growth there, because sometimes we stay in relationships because it's convenient. Maybe because there's a dynamic where you have the upper hand, or the other person has the upper hand, or maybe you have common interests and you both like to do X, Y, Z. And so you're so used to doing that. But is it really rewarding? Are you feeling fulfilled? Are you just ticking off time on the calendar? If you were to write down everything that you're doing on a regular basis, how much of it's bringing you joy? I know people will say to me, I just can't wait to get through this day. What if this is the only day you have? And you're waiting and hoping that the end of the day comes as soon as possible? What could you potentially be missing out on? Because time is a gift. Think of how many people are not here anymore who, if they had the opportunity, would love to turn back time. But we can't. So while you're here and of sound mind and can make your own decisions, because by the way, having a mother who had dementia, when you lose your mind, not a pretty place. Other people making decisions for you. You watch someone who so confident, so experienced, an athlete, and all of a sudden they can't make basic decisions. That could happen to any of us. So while you have the ability to make choices, make the choices that bring you joy, even though it's uncomfortable. You don't have to be disrespectful. I teach courses on setting boundaries. You can set a boundary and be respectful. Maybe the boundary is, I've been doing this job for so long. This is not me, I'm speaking extemporaneously. And it doesn't bring me joy. So I am going to come up with a plan so that I am retiring in the next 6 months. That's what I did. I worked with a coach and I put together a plan with her. And the plan had 3 options, A, B, and C. Of course, we didn't know about the pandemic, so that wasn't even on there. But wrote out the plan, and then I wrote my resignation letter, and I put it on the refrigerator. And I had the exact date that I planned on resigning. Now, if you don't think that was terrifying, giving up a 6-figure income, traveling all over the world, world-class food, 4 seasons, first-class seating, you name it, benefits, especially for somebody who has ulcerative colitis, the health benefits, and I was going to walk away from all of it. Why? Was it a horrible job? No, it was a great job. But I was sick. I had ulcerative colitis. My body was telling me, listen, we can't fly to Panama and stay there for 3 weeks to do this program. I had to do what was best for me, but I was afraid. But I had a plan, and I worked with a coach, and I walked in and I met with my boss, and I handed him the letter of resignation, and I think he was totally shocked. He said he was shocked. And he said to me that he wished he had the courage to do what I was doing, because having your own business, it's scary. It is scary. There's no one coming to save you. But I did it, and it was the best decision I ever made. And so what I share with you today, because I think this is relevant, my parents have both passed on. I live by myself. I spend the majority of my waking hours working or working out. That's it. I'm not socializing. I'm not sitting watching TV. Why? Because I love what I'm doing. And I've had people, as I mentioned about the vacation, people will be like, well, what are you doing this weekend? Working. What do you mean? How could you be working all the time? Don't you need a break? No, I love it because I'm always coming up with something new. I love the fact that I'm running a global television network. And also I do keynotes and I write books and I coach people and do private advisory. It's always different. And so why would I want to do something else? So people will continue on and they'll be like, you mean you never just go for a walk? I don't need to go for a walk. I go to the gym and I do my exercise and they'll give me all these scenarios. Well, have you thought of doing this? Have you thought of doing that? I don't want to do any of those things. I'm happy doing what it is I'm doing. Imagine if you were happy doing what you're doing. I don't need to be reinvented for someone to change me to do something else. I found my calling, and that's what I want for you. And that's why this episode has been about reinvention, that whatever story you're telling yourself that it's too late, you don't have enough time, you don't have enough money, you don't have enough resources, you don't have the support you need, they're all excuses. We had a show a couple of weeks ago, which was when someone shows you who they are, believe them. When someone is disappointing, they're not calling, they don't show up, et cetera, they're showing you who they are. But who are you? How are you showing up in your own life? Are you miserable? Are you filled with anxiety? Are you filled with dread? Are you living in a state of fear and panic? Are you waiting for the powers of the world to change things? Are you waiting for the economy to settle? Are you waiting for someone else to be in office? Waiting. You can control your own destiny right now, this minute, July 15th or July 16th, depending on where in the world you're watching this. And if you let that go by, that's on you. That's not somebody who's in office. That's not based on what the gas prices are. That's on you. So I hope that you will take this into consideration. Your biggest fan is the one you see when you look in the mirror. And you have everything you need right now for you to be on the path to happiness, for you to find inner peace. But that means you have to let go of the things that you are holding on to, the things and the people and the circumstances that do not serve you. You know what they are. You don't have to think twice about it. You know if there's someone in your life who is not a positive influence, you've got to walk away. You know if you are doing some type of work or you have a job and you are dreading it. You've heard of the bell curve where you have 10% of the people doing most of the work at an A level, and then you've got 80% who are somewhere in the middle, and then you've got the 10% that are barely breathing. Are you in that 10%? You're just punching a clock. You're just killing time until it's the perfect time to retire. It's the perfect time to switch jobs when everything is exactly the way you want it to be. You don't have control over that. What you have control over is the choices you make. I want to thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it. I'm going to ask again, if you are watching on YouTube, would you please consider subscribing to our channels, USA Global TV and Radio and Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck? And if you're not on YouTube, would you consider actually going over there and watching our programs from YouTube? Why? Because YouTube gives us real information. We can tell where people are watching in the world, the demographics. And by the way, USA Global TV and Radio is not just me. We have 28 TV show hosts in addition to myself. So we have all types of content. We have shows that are in English. We have some shows that are in German and some shows that are in French. And we really are here to provide world-class education, hope, and inspiration. And now I'm going to close out one of my new books that's coming out. It's called Stop: Why Knowing Isn't Enough. And basically, the crux of the book, which will be out in September, is we know things. Like, you're watching this and you know in your mind if it resonates with you. You know, you can say to yourself, you know what, I'm actually not that happy. You know what, there's some things I really would like to change. But yet you don't do them for all the reasons we talked about. So you have the information, but you don't take action. So in between the information and the lack of action is where your unhappiness lies. So instead, when I got the information about my back with the back spasms, that was information. And you know what? I could have said, I will just keep doing what it is that I'm doing. And God only knows, I could end up with something really serious. And instead, I took the information, I went and I met with the trainer, and I got the information, which is I need to change what I'm doing. And so I've changed, and I will continue to evolve because I decided to take the information and take action. So I'm asking you to consider taking action of your own, wherever it is in your life that you're not happy and you don't have peace. Let's take a look. Thank you again for watching. I really do appreciate you. I hope you find the peace and happiness in your life that you've earned. We all have earned peace and happiness. Go find it.
Every day, we wake up knowing what we should do. We know we should take better care of ourselves. We know we should have the difficult conversation. We know we should stop making excuses. We know we should invest in our future. We also know we should take the first step. So why don't we? It's not because we aren't smart enough. It's not because we don't have enough information. And it's certainly not because we don't care. We live in a world overflowing with knowledge. Books, podcasts, videos, courses, experts, even artificial intelligence. We have more access to information than any generation before us. Yet so many of us are still waiting for the right time, waiting to feel ready, waiting until tomorrow. But tomorrow becomes next week becomes next year, and before you know it, another opportunity has passed us by. The truth is, knowing has never been the finish line. It's only the starting line. Our lives don't change because we know more. Our businesses don't grow because we know more. Our relationships don't improve because we know more. And our health doesn't transform because we know more. Everything changes when we act. When we choose courage over comfort, progress over perfection, action over intention. The question isn't, what else do we need to know? The question is, what are we going to do with what we already know? Stop. Why Knowing Isn't Enough by Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Because knowing opens the door. Action changes your life. Available September 2026.
Every great story begins with a vision. At USA Global TV and Radio, for years, we've been providing world-class education, entertainment, inspiration, imagination, connections, and hope. Most people don't stay to watch the outro or the credits, but it's the people behind every success, behind every breakthrough, and behind every unforgettable story who matter. The TV show hosts, our guests, our sponsors, our publicists, our production team, our distribution team, our search engine optimization team, and so many more. You're the ones who make the difference. Every great story belongs to the people who bring it to life. Our future looks bright at USA Global TV and Radio, and that's because of you, our loyal fan base all around the world in more than 60 countries. Together, we're making a difference because you matter. USA Global TV and Radio, live streaming to over 60 countries. Voiceover, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Video production and direction, Paul Garcia. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV and Radio on YouTube.
What if many of the problems we associate with aging are not random? What if there are identifiable causes behind declining energy, chronic disease, and memory problems? We have been told that aging is simply something we must accept, that slowing down is normal, that growing older means growing weaker. But what if that's only part of the story? Why do some people remain active and engaged well into their later years? Why do others struggle with disease, fatigue, and declining health? What is happening beneath the surface? What processes drive aging? In Aging Sucks, researcher, educator, and author Red O'Loughlin explores what researchers have discovered about why we grow older. No medical degree required, no confusing jargon, just clear explanations of what researchers have discovered about the processes that influence aging. You cannot stop aging, but understanding its causes may help you make better decisions about your health, your future, and your quality of life. Because understanding comes before action. Action creates hope. Aging sucks. End the guesswork. There is hope.
USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents Tracy Cram-Perkins, a dementia caregiving survivor teaching how to balance care with peace of mind. #1 resource for dementia caregivers. It's the book Dementia Home Care: How to Prepare Before, During, and After. Over 17,000 copies sold of this must-have guide. And now a testimonial from Tracy Smith.
If I was to describe this book to someone who is going through a similar situation, I would underscore how important it is to have some sort of a tool or a guidebook to help you through certain stages. And there's so many, it's such an unknown topic to the average person. And to have this as a reference is essential. It's going to help you get through it personally, as well as help your loved one manage.
To learn more, go to tracycramperkins.com. Tracy Cram-Perkins is an award-winning author. She's also the host of Dementia Home Care television show. Watch it here on USA Global TV and Radio.
In a quiet seaside town in Greece, where sunlight warms the stone paths and the sea whispers nearby, a new adventure begins. Lady Ella and her brother Lord Jack have arrived with an important mission: to teach kindness, patience, and the power of listening. In a hidden alley, a group of forgotten cats feel unseen and unheard, lost in silence and growing misunderstandings, until someone finally takes the time to truly listen. Because when we listen from the heart, loneliness softens, kindness grows, and new friendships begin. This is Book 10 of The Amazing Adventures of Lady Ella, the Listening Mentor book series. Find all Dr. Kerbeck's books on Amazon and in fine bookstores worldwide.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USAGlobalTV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.